Well, it says I'm streaming live. There we go. There's the picture. Okay, coolness. How is everybody tonight? Welcome to the, what is this? The May Metaphysical Chat Live. So glad you're here. Hey, Melinda, thanks for being here. So cool. Hopefully a few more people will show up when they get the notice. Oh, wow. What a crazy month it's been, and it's just getting started. Are you feeling the same thing? You feeling those energies? Because like, I think it was Friday when Pisces took off and there was an eclipse, there was a new moon, there was all this energy, and it was like, bam, shoving us, ready or not, into May. So lots is going to happen this month. And then, of course, hi, Angelita. Great to see you too. Hi, Kathy. Yeah. And so then, of course, if you've listened to it, there was Metatron's May message where he said, it's going to be dodgy. And I was like, okay, what is dodgy? And he said, you're going to be dodging all the potholes that you're going to encounter in May. But there was also some really cool stuff in that message. If you listened, he talked about the fourth dimension and what that's going to feel like. And then there was also a section I specifically asked for about what do we share with people to help them deal with all the troubles going on in the world? Because I know so many of you have been upset by that and struggling to deal with putting it in perspective and living a normal life in the midst of all this stuff. So it was super cool that he gave us that reassuring message. Melinda says, yeah, it was weird. Yeah. Anything specific, Melinda, or just a feeling of weirdness in general? I know there's a lot of stuff going on. KT, your sister and you have a trip planned to see the vortex in Sedona, and you're hoping it'll be a good trip. Any advice if it'll be a learning experience? Oh, I'm sure it will be. I was in Sedona once years ago, and the energy there is just off the charts. And that's been a long time, so I can't imagine what it must be like now. So just go and soak it up, be there, allow it to connect with you and see what kind of messages you get. I have a friend who actually channels the red rock. I forget what Cathedral Rock. She channels Cathedral Rock from Sedona and has gotten some really amazing messages from the rock. So if you're in that area, you might want to go there and connect with the rock and see if you can get anything. That would be fun, right? Hi, Warrior Girl. Great to see you here. So, KT, are you going to Sedona on one of the metaphysical trips? Because I know there are some of those that are either going on or coming up shortly. I've heard a lot of talk about that. Cool. Melinda, you had a bad nightmare last night with lots of weird behavior. Heard about from others. Yeah, there must be really something wacko. I woke up this morning from a dream about Godzilla stalking me and a couple of other people. Now that's really way out there. I don't dream about stuff like that normally. So yeah, wacky stuff. KT says, no, it's just a sister trip. Awesome. Oh, well, just enjoy the heck out of it because it's so beautiful there. And yeah, the energy is awesome. You'll have to pick something really special to bring back with you as a memory of that trip. When I was there, we took a trip with a tour guide, and we went through this dried up riverbed. I found a heart-shaped rock there that was really cool, so I brought that back with me. I also brought back a weaving from the Hopis because we went up to the Hopi Nation, visited them, and toured their village there. So that was really cool. We went up on the butte where the Hopis are, and I got this lovely piece of artwork that's very, very special. Angelita, your 72nd birthday is the 24th, and you're getting nervous listening to all the things going on in astrology for this month. That's really cool. That is my 35th anniversary on the 24th of May. So we share that. How cool is that? Yeah, I've heard that as well, Angelita, but take a listen to Metatron's message if you haven't already heard it and see if that makes you feel better. Because yeah, things are shifting, but it's shifting in order with the grand plan. This is not something that is totally unexpected. It is in line with the plan. And he explains that in the message. So if you haven't seen that, take a look. I just posted that on, I think it was Saturday night, quite late. So if you haven't, take a look. It's the May 2022 energy forecast for light workers. Melinda, you're going to Sedona in July? Awesome. You and your nieces and your sister for the first time. Oh, you guys are going to love it. And Sienna is going to go crazy with all the rocks and crystals. Oh my gosh, they have those really massive geodes there too that, they're very, very expensive, but wow, they're powerful too. You can really feel it. There's just so much awesomeness going on there. KT, that new moon has that kind of energy with you too, like the dreams, the wacko dreams and stuff. Yeah. Warrior Girl, this past weekend was a major pivot point for Gaia and entering the eclipse season. I didn't know that. That's really cool. So that means we're going to have a lot more eclipses then coming up. I don't do a whole lot with astrology. I just kind of listen on the side to what other people are talking about. But yeah, it's massive. Oh, that will be an awesome birthday party for Sienna. That is so cool. You're such a great aunt. She's a very lucky girl. Yeah. So you guys, what metaphysical questions do you have tonight? If you listen to Metatron's message and you have questions about that, awesome. We can discuss that. Or if there are other things metaphysically that you want to go into, let's go for it. And of course, Sedona is a great metaphysical topic on its own. Desert Dawn, it'll be hot, so make sure to visit Oak Creek Canyon. The kids will like the rock slide. And Sedona is beautiful. Thank you for that, Dawn. Yeah, we drove through Oak Creek Canyon on the way up to the Grand Canyon. Oh gosh, it was just so gorgeous. Didn't really do anything special there, but driving through was quite beautiful. And you're super lucky too, Melinda. Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing having family ties like that. Not everybody is that lucky. So you are very blessed in that regard. Warrior Girl, you loved Metatron's message. I'm so glad. Yeah. It felt really amazing to get that message. So I can only imagine how it feels to you guys. So I'm looking forward to more, what he's going to share with us throughout the month to update us and keep us going. I am going to be asking for more because, the thing is, they've been telling us for a while now that we have to step up in our responsibility, right? I think it's time that we ask them to step up as well. So you're going to ask us to step up. Why don't you give us a little more information so that we can take that and run with it? Did you guys get the part about the when we shift into fourth dimension, that it's going to be easier for us to connect with beings from other planets? I thought that was pretty cool. So that's something to look forward to. Dawn, there are some awesome hikes in Oak Creek. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I think Melinda's nieces like to hike, so that should be really fun. Make sure you have strong hiking boots. Jennifer, hey, does meditation remove or change karma? Well, the meditation itself wouldn't change the karma. It's when you get whatever the lesson was that you were supposed to get, because that's what karma is all about. It's choice, consequences. So when you understand the choice that you made, the consequences that you dealt with, and how they're still showing up in your life today, once you get that and then you intentionally release it, that clears the karma. And you can do that yourself. For some things that are really, really deep and tricky, you might need a little help with the releasing. But if you've got the confidence and you feel comfortable doing it, then by all means, just step up and tell your angels what your expectation is about releasing that karma as you understand it. We all have the ability to do that because it's all stored in our Akashic records, which belong to us. So we can do what we need to do with them. And Dawn says she loves that. And yeah, they need to give us more info for sure, right? So, they're always saying ask, and ask again. So I think it's time to up level what we're asking, because they'll meet us. And imagine what kind of amazing things we'll get then. That should be pretty exciting. If you just joined us, I see there's a few more people here. We're doing metaphysical questions tonight. So anything you got metaphysical, please post it in the chat and we'll get to it. And it would help me if you would put 2 or 3 question marks in front of it so that your questions will stand out from the rest of the chat. That would be really helpful. Thanks. Warrior Girl says the veil has been thinning for a while. Yeah, because, our frequencies are up leveling. We've gone so far in a very short period of time. If you can remember back to where we were before the big 2010, 2012 Mayan prophecy, and when the energy really started kicking into high gear, we were in such a different place. our understanding of life and the universe was different, at least for most of us, not for all, but for most of us. And then all of a sudden we just did this kick it into high gear, fast forward. And now here we are, understanding more, broader and deeper, which of course brings up more questions. The other thing I wrote you guys about, if you're on my mailing list, is that it's been really fascinating how more of the blueprinter soul tribe is showing up. So, and we've talked about the blueprinters, I think, on the last couple of metaphysical chats. So I've been fascinated that it's that group that's showing up right now more than the other groups, because we know the Arcturians, the Syrians, the Palladians, and some of the Polarians have been around, and they've been more active than they had been back in 2010, but they're still not showing up as vocally as the blueprinters. And that's because the blueprinters are the ones who come along to help humanity evolve. Whenever we go through an up-leveling in our evolution, it's the blueprinters who show up to help with that, because they were the originators of developing the consciousness of humanity. So it's pretty deep. And I know we have some blueprinters on here tonight. It'd be really cool if you guys shared about how that feels to be part of that group, and what are your understandings about your part in it and what you're doing. That would be cool to know. Desert Dawn, you were told to channel energy into your solar plexus to increase your metaphysical abilities. Oops, my screen just shifted. Is that just as important as your vibration and frequency? Oh, sorry, it skipped into second question. So is there any truth to that? Yes, it kind of in a roundabout way. And that's something I actually wrote about in my newsletter on Sunday. So if you saw that, I talked about it there, but if you didn't, essentially what it is that in your solar plexus, you have a built-in compass. We all do. That was given to us to feel our way through life, making those choices that are optimally good for us in our soul journey. But what happened is somewhere along the line, we shifted into thinking using our ego to make our choices. So when we use ego to make those choices, they're very often not in our best interest. They're more about keeping us safe, holding us back, while soul is out here saying, come on, baby, let's soar. So when you feel through your solar plexus, you are tapping in to your Akashic records, you're tapping into your intuition, that connection that you have, and the messages from your guides. So the more you tap into your solar plexus, feeling what you get there, the better it will be for you. And that connects with frequency, because doing that helps you to up-level your intuition, which up-levels your vibrational frequency. I hope that makes sense. It's a little hard to explain, but yeah, you'll feel it once you start doing it on a regular basis. Life will just change when you go more with your solar plexus than you do with your ego. It's amazing what happens. And once you get into that space where you're working in a partnership with your ego rather than fighting for the, for the optimal choices, life gets a lot easier. You've got more clarity. It flows. You connect more with your guides. You get more of those messages that you need to help you make the next best choice. And then taking action. That's the next part of it. But yeah, it will shift your life in amazing ways. And it really just takes focus and a little effort. Then take that action when you feel led to take it. It'll start expanding. And I would encourage you to take notes about what you're noticing along the way, because that's going to expand. And then you'll be able to see that in your notes, how you've expanded. You'll be able to feel it and see it. And that will be your validation. Because you know what happens? We start moving forward rapidly like that, and then we forget where we came from. So you don't appreciate it as much, and you don't get as much out of it. But if you've recorded it, you can look back and see, oh, look how far I've come. Then you have one of those down days where you kind of feeling like you're really not making any progress. We all have those days. You can go back and look at your notes, and that will lift you up and validate for you just how far you really have come. So that's an important part of it. Warrior Girl, would Metatron validate that color, speaking of our light, is just as important as our vibrational frequency? Oh, let's ask. Okay, so you're asking, is color as important as your vibrational frequency? What do you have to say about that? Is color an important component just as frequency? I get a yes on that. Let's see what else comes with it. Yeah, so the colors bring understanding with them because you see these colors and there are many depths of meaning attached to them. And it's really interesting you mentioned this because I just listened to a podcast from my friend Linda Lang, and she was talking, or maybe it was a post in her Facebook group, but anyway, she was talking about this study that she had read where they documented the things that go along with the various colors, and they were specifically working on the chakra colors. So she challenged us to tune into the colors and see what kind of feeling we got just from focusing on the colors. That was fascinating. So when I focused in on the crown chakra, it felt very powerful. And, you know, what you would expect with your crown chakra, right? But it was also had this kind of a smoothness to it, indicative of the flow that we feel when we're connected to divine. And then I connected with red. And oh my gosh, that felt like sandpaper. It was very abrasive. So that's the root chakra. So that's at the ground level where things are a little less refined, and that's connecting with earth. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to have to think about it some more and you know, ask some more questions why it felt like sandpaper. It made sense kind of in the moment, but now that I'm telling you about it, I think I have more questions. So you probably do too. But yeah, so that might be a fun thing to play with. See what you get, and then you can tell us in the chat, or you know, if you come to the third Saturday live that I do on Zoom, if you're in that group, then we can talk about it there and you can ask questions about it because we do personal questions on the third Saturday. So let me know if that answers your question, Warrior Girl. And Desert Dawn says, yeah, it makes sense to you. Thank you. And you'll start taking notes. Awesome. That's wonderful. It will make a huge difference for you. It's so worth the time. So Warrior Girl, you can see people's auras. You believe we all can, but don't realize it. We probably all have in past lives, if not in this life. I've tried to see auras and it's just not happening for me yet. But I think that's because deep down, I'm afraid if I start seeing them, I won't be able to stop seeing them. And then I wonder about, well, what would that block if I can't see normal without having auras attached to everything? So is that how it is for you, Warrior Girl? Do you see auras on people and objects? And can you turn it on and off? Because that's a big question for me. Glaucio, how can you know whether you're connected to Metatron? Oh, well, you are simply because Metatron is the overseer of the Akashic records. So he manages everybody's Akashic records. Your team reports to him, who reports to divine. So yeah, you're automatically connected to Metatron. So if you're wondering, does that mean you can call upon or speak to? Absolutely. Everybody can. Metatron is very fair. He loves us all equally and very happy to help. So call upon Metatron, call upon other archangels, call upon the personal guide team, whoever you feel led to call upon, or just call on your team, because truthfully, they all work as a team, which is how they like to be addressed anyway, because they don't have egos. So it's just they're all there serving you in whatever way they can. So let me know, does that answer your question? Warrior Girl, yeah, you took a Colors of Spirit class and you learned a lot. Awesome. That's really awesome. Just moving my screen here so I can see your comments a little easier. KTC, you've been drawn to using the Merkaba crystals for healing. Can Metatron validate that, please? I believe it's yes, but we'll just ask. So Metatron, for KTC, is it an optimal choice for her to use crystals for healing? Oh, big yes on that. If you feel led to do it, honor that. That's an inspiration from your guides. So the crystals will probably add an extra dimension to it. But for other people who are wondering, well, gee, should I use crystals? That's totally an individual thing. Some people will resonate with using crystals. Some people will resonate with using something else, while others will just be comfortable drawing upon the connection with their guides and angels and their own internal power. So it's going to be a very individual thing. But yeah, that's a really cool thing for you. So go for it. Use it in whatever way feels right for you on your soul journey. Jennifer, you know that we don't know where blueprinters are from, but could we ask Metatron? We can ask. I think I've asked that before and gotten very vague things. It's like, I'm not even sure we have words for it right now. So, Metatron, could you clue us in where the blueprinters came from? What is their origin? He says a galaxy far, far away. Okay, so can you put a name to it? Is there a word you can use to describe it? Anything that we can latch onto? Because, we need that kind of thing. He's being very silly, Jennifer. He's saying they came from Blueprinter land. And, maybe it really is called that, but it feels silly to me. It feels like a real levity kind of energy that's attached to that. And I suspect it's probably because it's a word that we wouldn't be able to pronounce or even conceive yet. We will. When we get to that fourth dimension, we'll be able to get all that stuff. In the meantime, we might get it before we get there, but we're not quite there vibrational frequency wise. And the thing to understand about that, Jennifer, is that when we were at lower frequencies, we understood less. So as we keep moving up the vibrational frequency scale, we understand more and more. Like, there was one time I got this message that Jesus was telling me that time is fungible. And I'm like, what does that mean? What am I supposed to even do with that? I wasn't ready to understand it yet. But not too long after that, another message came along, and the two pieces put together, it was like, ding, 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 now I get it. Time is fungible, because we see time here as linear in the third dimensional place that we're at. But in the fifth dimension, time is not linear. It's all simultaneous, stacked, or, however you see it. So time is very fungible. And I've even read some things recently about the new choices that we make because of the way time is stacked can actually backwards impact the past. So I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that one. I don't really know what to think about it, but it's something I'm going to be asking more about and trying to get more clarity. Whether we can or not doesn't really matter, because the most important thing for us is what we do in the present. But again, time is fungible, because it's what we do with it in the present has an impact on everything, including the future. So it was like, you'll get stuff like that. You won't totally understand it because you're not quite ready to grasp it yet, but that's okay, because that's how they teach us and help us to expand. It's like they give us these little bits of pablum, spoon feeding us pablum until we're ready for something, more solid. So it will just keep coming. They're not just going to dump something on you that you will never understand. So it is coming. And you probably will be able to tap into that and have more access to the blueprinter information sooner than somebody else might. So that's something to play with, be open to, and just see what they share with you. And didn't you say in the Facebook group that you were visited by somebody? So maybe if that same bluish individual comes back, maybe you'll get more from them. So that's something to explore as well. We're at a time where we're being encouraged to question everything. Anything and everything under the sun that you're curious about, ask. Just keep asking questions and writing it down, of course, because you'll forget if you don't, because there's just so much that'll start coming through. As you do that, you're getting those puzzle pieces until you get the bigger picture. And of course, you'll get that bigger picture, and then you'll get another piece over here, and then those pieces will join together and you get yet a bigger picture. And it's just going to keep happening like that as we evolve and our frequency rises. Warrior Girl, not everybody's aura shows all the time, more often when they're speaking openly from the heart. So it comes and goes. But you've been doing this for 20 years, so it's more colors are coming through. That's really cool. So do you see them kind of overlaying each other, or are they like separate and then just touch the edges? I'm just trying to understand what that might look like. KT says, thank you. You're so welcome. Hey, Shakti, so glad you could join us. Warrior Girl says, aren't there 12 dimensions? Let me ask that question. I've heard that, but I've also heard other things. Like there's probably more that we aren't even aware of. So Metatron, can you tell us, is it true that there are 12 dimensions? Yes, there are 12. Okay, but are there more than 12? Yeah. Yeah, there's way more than 12, but we're not ready yet to go there. So again, over time, we're going to keep moving through them because remember, we are eternal. We've already come so very far so that we have that understanding of more dimensions than we ever did before. But we're not ready yet to go, to the hundreds or whatever they might happen to be. So everything in its time. That's the kind of thing that it doesn't really matter right now because you're not ready for it. If you were ready for it, then they would be giving you more information. I hope that makes sense. Ela, can Metatron speak the light language? If yes, can he say something? I'm sure Metatron can. I can't, and I have a block about that. So I couldn't just channel that for you from Metatron yet. I might in the future, but right now that's not happening for me. So, and that's just because I have this block about light language. I made a video about that a while back, so you can watch that video and it'll explain more. But yeah, sorry, I can't do that for you right now. Dawn, one way to think of time is yarn that a cat messed up. It kind of makes sense how time overlaps and twists back upon itself. Yeah. Yeah. It's fungible. It's all interwoven and probably changing all the time because I just got this visual of it like moving over and around each other, almost like snakes intertwining and moving. So there's something energetically that looks like that, I guess, when you can see the time. So if you could imagine like an hourglass, instead of being that hourglass shape, it's maybe a globe shape or something. And inside there, all these layers and levels of time that are winding around each other, unwinding, rewinding, connecting with other pieces. Hard to explain what I just saw in my head, but hopefully that gives you a glimpse of it. Shakti, or 13 dimensions. Yeah, you probably posted that before I said that there's actually more than that. Callista, hey, welcome. Watch Outer Range or that movie with Jeremy Renner and Amy Adams. I'm not familiar with those movies. Okay, cool. I'll have to look for them. Shakti says, I always ask questions. Good. Ask some more because we got time here. So, and there really aren't that many in the chat yet for me to get to. Oh, Callista's saying if you want to understand time, watch that movie. Cool. Okay. It would be really interesting to go and look up who wrote that movie and do a little research on them to find out whether they are connected metaphysically. Because sometimes we'll get stuff like that you see it or hear it and it just resonates as deeply true. Like Gene Roddenberry with Star Trek. There was so much of that stuff that he channeled. And I actually had a conversation with Gene Roddenberry some months back. I think it was last year. So you'll find that on my YouTube channel as well, where I got a chance to ask him about that, whether he actually knew that he was channeling. And at the time, he wasn't totally conscious that it was channeling, but he did have this sense that it was coming from somewhere beyond himself because he was getting this stuff, these big ideas and these concepts that were just so foreign to him. That's how it happens. Bit by bit, it comes in. Then we figure out how to compartmentalize it and understand it and put it into context with our present so that we figure out what we want to do with it. And for him, it was writing these amazing stories. And what I really loved and appreciated about Gene's work is how there was always that moral thread that ran through it all, which made it that much more special. Shakti says, everything, everywhere, all the time, new movie. Oh, cool. I have not had time to look at movies in so long. I'm way behind in all the stuff. So thank you for letting me know. I'll have to keep an eye out. Warrior Girl says, you believe the 12 archangels, 12 dimensions, 12 zodiac signs, 12 DNA, 12 starseed. Yeah. Except Warrior Girl, in the work that I do, there are 22 starseed families. And I think there are more than that. There are just 22 that are documented. So it's quite possible that what you're talking about, it's just that's what's documented. And the DNA strands, I would not be at all surprised to see more. In fact, I think I've heard they're on like 23 or 24 now. So yeah, there's more. And that's part of the expansion we're going through. You know, we go up a level, we understand, grasp, get connected with that information, get comfortable with it. And then when we're ready, we go to the next level and they give us more. So it's that building block approach that they use to teaching us. They can't give us, you know, level 35, for instance, when we're only down at level 5 or wherever we happen to be. So it's building blocks, and we'll keep getting more and more. And as I started to say earlier, and I got off track, we are eternal. So my gosh, we've got millennia yet to live. And we'll go through all of that at some point. Then there'll be more coming after that. Could make your head explode if you really thought about it. Shakti, 12 is the multiple of 144. So you see how we can start with that. That's a really great point, Shakti. Yeah. So at some point, we'll probably reach that 144 level. I wouldn't be at all surprised. Multiples seem to be a big thing with the scheme of the universe. KT, you agree when Metatron said that if there's a disconnect, we need to look at ourselves and then reconnect with divine. Is there any advice for preventive measures? Yeah. We get disconnected when we spend too much time focusing on the outer world rather than our spiritual journey. When we get caught up in things like being so worried about the war and the famine and whatever else is going on in the third dimensional world. Yeah, that's happening. Yeah, we should pay attention and we should do something about it as we feel led to do something about it. Not all of us will be. And meanwhile, we don't want to abandon our spiritual journey because that's the whole reason we're here. All these other things are just, you know, part of the story that's woven around us so that we can react to it, make choices from it to present the contrast against which we make our choices. So all of that's going on all the time, but we want to always be, as much as possible, in that state of mindfulness about our spiritual journey and the spiritual perspective of things. So it's when you get caught up in all that emotional sturm and drang that it pulls you off your course. And as your vibrational frequency rises, you probably will find that happens less and less. It's not like you're going to suddenly never have it happen because we're human. That's the contrast is there for a reason, but you will find that it's more manageable. It happens less frequently. So you can focus more on the spiritual part of the journey. So yeah, I mean, they're always there. They never disconnect. It's we who disconnect. So in that moment when you feel that down, kind of depressed, disconnected feeling, know that all you have to do is maybe take 2 to 5 minutes, connect with your angels and guides, allow them to fill you with that divine love and light, reconnecting you in the moment so that you will feel lifted up and get back on track. I hope that makes sense. Oh, Warrior Girl says yes to Shakti that we have a total of 144 chakras, but there are 12 core. That's fascinating, Warrior Girl. I haven't heard that before. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. It's really cool. I don't know if it's Ella or Ela. I hope I'm getting it right. In what cases Metatron assigned to some people as a spiritual guide? Thank you. I don't know that he's specifically assigned to some individuals and not others. He's assigned to everybody because he oversees it all, but he delegates it to our teams. Now we can always call upon him specifically if we want to. So that's totally up to you. If you feel drawn to Metatron and you want to connect with him, by all means do that. Don't feel like he's on some higher level that you're not ready for yet. We're all ready for that if that's what we choose. There are some people though who are drawn to other archangels, and so they'll call upon them. You know, sometimes in meditation, divine creator themselves will come through. You can do that too. There are no limits to what you can do. As long as you're calling on them, they're happy. So call on whomever, whenever you choose to. That's probably all around the best guidance as far as connecting with them. Just know that there's nothing that's beyond your reach. They're all available to you. It might be fun though, to connect with different ones. And when you do that, feel their energy and notice which ones you feel more resonance with. That will be really interesting. When I first started this work, I had 4 archangels that kept showing up, and they would come regularly, and I got to feel their energy so that I could recognize them readily. But after a time, then Jesus would come in, then Metatron would come in, and sometimes Creator would come in. And so they mixed it up a bit until we got to a point where I'm not sure if it was that I felt more comfortable with Metatron, so that's who I called upon, or if Metatron just showed up. I think it was me. As I just said to you, we can call on whoever we want. And I felt very comfortable with Metatron's energy because Metatron is Jesus. And I grew up as a small child being very connected to Jesus. I know now that we had some past lives, and that's why that connection was there. But when I was like 4 years old, I was talking to Jesus. And then I lost it for most of my life. It came back later when I started doing this work. So that's probably why I feel very connected to Metatron, because of the Jesus connection. So yeah, just call on whoever you feel like calling on, and change it up once in a while just to see what you get. Because, sometimes I'll go in and I'll just get random groups of angels and guides. I don't need a name attached to them. I can talk to them all because they're all on equal footing. They're all there to serve. So it doesn't really matter. Warrior Girl says, yes, the Ascension, agreed. Cool. Jennifer, you were told that you have a Greek goddess as a guide, and in your pod, you've heard of deities being part of someone else's pod. That kind of blew your mind. Yeah, well, I'm not sure the goddesses are really what we think they are. I think I've come to understand, as I've done more of this work, that if you read the Greek mythology, those beings that the regular people look to as gods, they weren't. They were more like enlightened beings. They had reached a higher level of understanding and connection with divine that allowed them to seem very different. And, probably they were able to do things because, we hear about these people who are very devout and spend their whole lives meditating, who can manifest out of thin air. So that's kind of like what the Greek gods and goddesses were doing. So why couldn't you be connected to one of them? And why wouldn't they still be around and available to you? Those stories were based on truth. Of course, there's exaggeration and there's modification, so you can't take it all as truth, but there's a kernel of truth in there. So if that feels good to you and you feel drawn to that particular one, yeah, by all means, go connect with them. I have connected with people who are, when I've done readings, I didn't ask for this because I don't go asking, but if it comes, then I share it with them. So during a reading, once in a while, it will just pop in and I'll see a vision of them as another soul. Well, not another soul, but another body. So the reincarnation of somebody. Like I saw one who was the reincarnation of Frederick Douglass. And that was pretty startling for her to hear. Because, that wasn't there in her resonance, but they showed it to me for a very specific reason. They don't give us anything like that random. That's very purposeful. I have seen Mary Magdalene show up for somebody in a reading. And who else? Moses showed up for somebody. And then like a week later, Grandma Moses showed up for somebody. It's like, you got to be kidding me. This is just too funny. But, it's just those people cross my path. And that's what I got during the reading. So, Isis showed up for somebody. And that was really a mind blower because you just don't think of them as being connected to somebody who's currently in a physical body. Yet it is possible and it does happen. And there are many more of them out there because I haven't connected with all of them. But yeah, so that's a very long-winded way, Jennifer, of addressing your question. I hope it answers that and makes sense. So enjoy your connection with the Greek goddess. Absolutely. I don't know what pods are. Are you meaning like your group, your connected group of souls that you travel through lifetime after lifetime with? Is that what pod means to you? Dawn is saying it's hard to stay out of the emotions because you've got many family members in Ukraine right now. Yeah, I understand. Other people have come forward with that as well. if you haven't listened to, I think it was the April forecast from Metatron, he addressed that. He explained how the people in Ukraine are karmically connected in a way to what's going on right now. So when they came into this lifetime, part of their soul mission was what we're experiencing right now. They came to resolve that karma that's very old with Ukrainian people, as you probably know. So they stepped up to make this grand sacrifice for the rest of us. And what that's all about, the bigger picture, is that's about healing the people on earth, bringing them back together again. That is massive and such a blessing to all of us from them. So if you look at what they're doing as this massive gift of love from their souls, it's like, how can you feel bad about that? You can honor it. You can love and respect them. You can help them in whatever way you feel led to. But if we can wrap our minds around that, I think it might help you find some peace with it, knowing that it's not random, it's very purposeful. And what they're doing is going to leverage the rest of us forward. It's like catapulting, I think is a better description, catapulting all of us forward. This was very needed. It's very timely, and it's going to help us move forward faster as we're accelerating our ascension. So I hope that helps a little bit. Freedom for All. Have you ever connected to Gabriel? Can you get a message from him? Yeah, I have. Gabriel was one of the ones who used to show up in the very beginning. Not as much as some of the others, but he did. I can ask if there's a message from Gabriel. So, Archangel Gabriel, is there anything you would like to? Oh my gosh. You know, they're very funny sometimes, so I hope nobody's offended by this, but he came out and he starts blowing his horn, and then he goes into this very upbeat, what is that song I'm hearing? I can't think of the name of it, but it's a very upbeat kind of jazzy song. And so he's doing that to bring lightness to us all. And, you know, no matter how dark it looks, there's still love, there's light, there's hope. There's your soul journey. There is so much good to focus on. So let yourself do that. Flow into that energy as much as possible. Don't ignore the bad stuff, because you have to deal with it, right? You can't escape from it. That would be spiritual bypassing, as some people talk about. No, we have to be responsible and deal with those things, but we don't have to get mired down in the muck with them, taking us off of our path and spreading more darkness. So as much as possible, remain that bright light spark of divine love and light in the world, and let that spread to other people to help lift them up when they're feeling down. If I can think of the name of that song, I'll post in the comments later, because I can hear it so clearly, but I can't think of the name. It's one of those big band songs from way back when. And it's got a lot of drama to it. Shakti, you spoke to Saint Germain and Metatron when you were little. So when you practiced meditation as an adult, you recognized the frequency, and then you realized who you connected to as a child. That's so beautiful. It was a little bit like that for me. Although when I was 4, I knew it was Jesus for whatever reason, I just did. But I had forgotten it. It was gone for many, many decades. It wasn't until I started doing this work that I had the memory. Oh my gosh, I used to have those conversations. And it was really weird, because later on, when I started reading the Bible, I would come across something and it would be like I was right there. I had a remembrance of it. I already knew that story before I read it, which was really like an out-of-body experience. But yeah, now I understand where it was coming from. And those hints and clues were there all along. But it took me a really long time to get through all of the karma, the victimization, and the trauma, to be in a place where I could let that go, all that baggage go, to make room to connect with divine and get all this new information to share with you guys. Warrior Girl says pod equals soul family. Thank you. I thought that's what it was, but I wasn't sure. Dawn, you'll find it and listen to the April podcast. I'm so glad. Yeah, I think that will be comforting for you. But just remember, anytime it gets to be too much for you, take a break. Don't listen to the news for a while. Go into meditation, connect with divine creator themselves if you want to. It's whatever you need. And there is, if you haven't already seen it, Dawn, on my YouTube channel, there is a playlist of meditations. There's one called Vital Force Energy Infusion. That one might help you feel better when you really need a boost, because it's just filling you up, recharging your battery, helping you to withstand whatever it is you need to withstand here in the third dimension. So I highly recommend that one. There's a lot of good ones there. They're all channeled, but that one just really sticks out for me right now because of what we're going through. Oh, and you say great image catapulting. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, they inserted that word after I said something else that didn't quite make sense. KT says Sandalphon has always come across as warm, caring. Is there any hope he has to bring? Okay, let's see. So Archangel Sandalphon, is there anything that you want to share with our conversation here this evening? Oh, wow. I see him coming up with this big blanket and just wrapping it around your shoulders and then holding you in that blanket. So it's like cocooning you to just fill you with love and light. And then as you're standing there with that blanket around you, the golden white light comes down and it just covers your entire body until you're encased in it. And then Sandalphon takes a step back and you levitate. So now you're prone in the air with this golden white light and the blanket. And Sandalphon is just, there very close by, continuing to connect with you, because I think the idea is to let you know how close they are to you all of the time. It's, a hair's breadth away. All you have to do is ask and they'll be there to bring you comfort in whatever way will be most effective for you. So is there anything else that you want to share? Oh my gosh, there's like this rope that's wrapped all the way around you in this blanket. And so he reaches up and he grabs, she, whatever, you see it as, grabs the end of that rope and pulls on it, and you start spinning off, unwinding. So it's all that darkness that you've been dealing with, that's been oppressing you, the worries, that's all spinning off and just dissipating into the air. It's being transmuted. It's no longer there to bother you. Oh, wow. So it's like they're setting you free. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I hope that's helpful. Um, 444. KT says 444. You've been seeing repetitive numbers all day. Yeah. I've been getting a lot of fives, which is, about change. So we all are. They're just stepping it up now, whatever they can do to get our attention, because it's so important that we take that time to register the message that's coming through. It's like they're jumping around holding up numbers, getting in front of us, holding up numbers, and we just keep walking by and don't see them because we're so caught up in the cares and woes of the day. That's why earlier I mentioned what we can do is be more into the mindfulness, being very present. When you see or feel something, even if it just catches the corner of your eye, stop, register whatever it was, process it, and then ask for more information about what's the message. If it's numbers like that, of course, you can look it up, but you could also ask them for more information, because sometimes there's more to be gained. It's just keep asking and probing, writing it down, of course, because the pieces that you got another time will fit together with pieces you get this time, and so on and so on. You'll get a greater message as time goes by. Ariel asks, how much of the Bible do you feel is real? Broad strokes, kind of the outline. There are certain fixed time events that you can document in history that happened. The details are where they get you. Anything in the Bible that's talking about God judging you and all this hellfire and hatred, that's just about controlling people. That's not about love, which is what Creator's all about. Why would Creator make all of us to torture us and put us through these horrible things? That would be a really sadistic being. And why would we worship a sadistic being? That's just not true, any of that. So you take the broad strokes and feel what is true for you and let the rest go. That's kind of what I've done. It's like I said, broad strokes. Maybe that will make sense for you, I hope. Hey, Linda, thanks for being here. So glad you could make it. Dawn says, thank you. Callista said that helped you. I'm so glad. Warrior Girl, the acronym Bible means basic instruction before leaving Earth. I love it. I love it. Do you know who came up with that? Because that's very clever. Hey, Mike, so glad you could join us. You say, excellent, thanks. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. KT, that's wonderful. You've had issues feeling tied up in darkness and learning to cut ties. Oh, that's why you got that image then, to see you being unwound. And when I was saying that to you, KT, unwound had real power to it. So I don't know what else is going on that you feel tied up about, but unwound was really important. So know that that can be true of anything that's got you feeling caged or trapped, held down in any fashion, because you did not come to be trapped or tied down like that. So yeah, Sandalphon wants you to know that you just let that go, transmute it, let it all go. And when you meditate, call on Sandalphon, ask for more. If you feel connected to that particular angel, yeah, absolutely do that. Dawn, you're only seeing 4 meditations on the website. Oh yeah, you're looking on the website. Those are older meditations that I put there, but all of the more recent ones are on YouTube. So sorry if I said website, I meant YouTube. There's a playlist of meditations. So if you just search on my site for meditations, you'll find it. Or you can search for Vital Force Energy and it should come up as well. But if you can't find it, just shoot me an email and I'll make sure you get the link. Warrior Girl says to KT, call upon Archangel Michael to cut the cords that no longer serve your highest good. Yeah. Call upon whomever you feel drawn to. A lot of people feel drawn to Michael, and I guess that's just because he's such a warrior. In the beginning, I felt very drawn to Michael as well, but over time, I felt less drawn because I wanted, I don't know, more dimension. It felt like was needed, and Michael is kind of stereotyped into that warrior energy, while the others have other things that they bring to the table. And Michael always comes across as quite serious to me, where some of the other angels, like Gabriel just demonstrated with blowing the horn and doing that big band sound. There's a lot of levity they bring to the table. Metatron brings a lot of levity to the table. Michael never really brought levity. He was always, wearing the armor and very stern and powerful. And, that's the role that he showed himself to me, at least. Other people might get it differently. Ela says, can any of my archangels give a hope? They all are, Ela. Call upon whomever and just spend some time letting them hold you in their arms, filling you with love. That's so powerful. And you can use those meditations on my channel. Then when there's a place where you connect with somebody, call upon the archangel or multiple archangels to be the individual that comes forward for you in the meditation, because they're all guided. They take you through a story to help you connect at a deeper level. So that would help you a lot. There's one, this one's on my website, called Reconnecting with Guides, that takes you on a journey into your Akashic records, where you can call upon a departed loved one, you can call upon angels, you can call upon anybody at all to meet you there in your records, where you can have a conversation. You can ask questions, they can talk to you, you can hear them, you can touch them. If it's a departed loved one and you want to just hold them, you can do that too. It's very comforting, very healing, but it's also a great way to connect with those angels and guides, get more information. So I would try that. And if the first time you do it, you don't get a whole lot, don't worry about it. Don't judge it. Just keep doing it. You can do it over and over. The more you do it, the more you relax into it, the more you'll get. Now know that when you do it, your ego is going to jump in and tell you that you're making it all up. You're not. Whatever you get, just accept it in love as it was intended for your greater good. And just, let it fill you with love and light. Just float through the meditation. It's such a wonderful, beautiful experience. Very healing too. So your son learned about it while studying at Syracuse. That is really cool. I'm surprised. Was it like a religious class? Because that's something I've never heard about. It's really awesome if it is. Errol wants to know if Uriel has any messages. Okay. So Archangel Uriel, is there anything you'd like to share with us tonight? Oh my gosh. Uriel came in on the drums, accompanying Gabriel in that big band sound. So they're really wanting us to lighten up, which makes sense because we've been talking about how the density in the world right now, all the conflict is really, really weighing us down. So they're coming forward with this dance music and encouraging us just to lift up, party, have fun. Don't forget that. Sure, we have a serious soul journey here and this big purpose to fulfill, but we shouldn't forget the levity. We shouldn't forget the light, the fun, the partying. So kick up your heels, get out there, do those fun things, go for a hike in nature, go play in the playground, whatever feels really good to you. More of that, because it helps to counterbalance the darkness. So they always bring that to us to help us. Anything else from Uriel? Oh, doing some really fancy work with those drumsticks, twirling them around and really putting on a show. And they're having so much fun doing it. So what they want us to get is, see, we're archangels. We're all the time working for you, and we're taking time to have fun. So you should as well follow our example. So that's what they want you to get. That's really cool. Warrior Girl says, Michael saved your life when you were 4 and you're very connected to him. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, they do. And the thing about that, it's so sacred because not everybody gets somebody to step in and save them in those moments. That just means that you had more to accomplish in this lifetime. So they stepped in and kept you going for longer, it's very profound and sacred, and probably has a lot to do with the path that you're on right now, because that opened your eyes to the love that was there for you, the caring. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. It's really beautiful. Callista wants to know, what about Raphael? Raphael always shows up for me with, the bright red hair and freckles and just very sarcastic, very dry humor, always making wisecracks. But let's see if he has a message. So Raphael, is there anything you'd like to share with us tonight? He's chewing gum and snapping the gum, Oh, and he says, what the others said, babe. That's a very typical response that I get when Raphael shows up. It's like he stands back and watches what's going on, and then he does the commentary. So if it were a movie, he would be the narrator standing in the background, watching what was going on and inserting those sarcastic remarks just to lighten things up and get your attention. Glacio says that 22 and 23 are coming up many times, and your 2 brothers' birthday are on the 23rd. And there are 23 people in chat. Oh, wow. It says 24 now, but maybe that's old. That is really cool. So have you looked that up, Glacio? I certainly would be doing that to find out what it's all about, because especially when it repeats like that, and something as random as the number of people in chat connecting to what you've been seeing, that's like a gong, 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 hello, we're trying to get your attention kind of thing. So that's awesome. They've clearly got a very important message to get through to you. Dawn, you found the meditation. Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so glad. Let me know how it goes for you. Linda, does ascension happen gradually based on the individual life path, or as an enlightened group of humanity? May seem like a silly question. Not silly at all. You guys, there are no questions that are too silly. It's a question that you're wondering about, and that's what we're here to answer. So it happens, it's an individual thing, Linda, because no matter what group you've been with more than one group anyway. So it's your individual journey. It's what you're ready for, and it's based on where you've been, where you're going, and how diligent you are about the process. Now, we have a lady in our 21-day meditation group who her progress has been so accelerated that it's like, oh my gosh, it's like her guides put her on, you know, those little cars that they have that they put on railroad tracks where they pump the handle and you zip along. It's like they put her on one of those and they're furiously pumping that thing. She is just zooming so much so that it's like, oh my gosh, hold on to your head. I've never seen anybody have an acceleration that fast. And yeah, it's been a challenge for her, but guess what? It wouldn't happen if she wasn't ready. And there's something really important she's got lined up in her plan for this lifetime that's requiring that acceleration. For most of us, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be more gradual. And we might wish it were faster, but truthfully, it'll come in the time that it needs to come in for you. So that has to be very individual. Let me know if that helps. Angelita says, yes, I've always been drawn to Archangel Michael, but recently you've been guided to learn more about all the angels. That's awesome. Yeah, probably, Angelita, because they are more present now than they have been before. They are showing up everywhere, wanting to connect with us. So you've got more to choose from as far as who you feel connected to. There are some really great oracle card decks that you could get and play with, where the archangels are there so that you can learn more about them as recorded on that card anyway, and just get more comfortable conversing with them. You might just see, you know, if you draw a card a day, who shows up for you on a regular basis. That would be a fun little experiment for you. But just welcome them with open arms, connect with them, ask them questions, lean into their support, because that's why they're there. They know you need them and they are there for you. Oh, Warrior Girl says, yes, your son learned it. It was a religious class at Syracuse. Cool. Thanks for sharing that. And Warrior Girl says to Angelita that she bought the Archangel Fire Oracle deck. Very informative. Cool. So that might be something to check out and see if you resonate with that deck. Starfish wants to know, is Raphael the purple that you're seeing? Let's ask. I don't think I've ever noticed purple with him, but that could be for you. So Archangel Raphael, are you showing up as purple? He says it depends on the day, but yeah, purple is one of his colors. That's funny. Callista says that I love it, always drawn to Raphael and love the commentary. Yeah, if you're open to it, he will really wisecrack with you. You know, there was somebody I read for a number of years ago who got some kind of, no, he read something that I posted that I think it was the story where Raphael came in the very first time as the wisecracker and responded to that by saying, I don't believe archangels talk like that. And I had to laugh, and I wrote back and I said, you know, they won't talk to you like that because it offends you. They talk to me like that because I don't mind. I find it fun, and it just expands upon the experience. So if you have this idea that archangels are this very straight-laced, serious type, that's how they'll show up for you, because they don't want to offend you. They want to come to you in a way that you can accept them. That's the most important thing. But once you do accept them, then they might be a little more free to express their individual personalities. Angelita says, thank you to Warrior Girl. Your life has always been serious type A energy, but you want to leave in joy. Yeah. So Angelita, they are going to be encouraging you, probably reaching out and taking your hands and pulling you forward to say, come on, let's play. Let's have a good time. Because Creator designed us to come here to have a really good time. It's living. It's not tedious days one after the other. What would be the point of that? So come here, do what feeds your soul, have a really good time, and expand your consciousness. And you can do all of those things with a really fun attitude. So the more you loosen up and play and have fun, the more your energy will shift so that you will be able to connect on a deeper level with them. That's why the fun is so important, because when you step into that energy of fun, your whole beingness shifts and you're more open That's so, as much as possible, try to stay in that energy. When you get into that really serious kind of button down shirt energy, you're really holding them away from you. You're keeping them at bay. And that's not what you want right now. So I hope you can start little by little shifting that, and know they're going to help you in every way you allow them to. Jennifer says that she thinks Raphael is associated with the color green. Yeah, I think it depends on who you talk to, Jennifer. You know, you might get a couple different card decks, for instance, and see them represented with those different colors. So, yeah, I could see Raphael with green, go great with the red hair. And it feels like a really lovely, upbeat color. Starfish, you like a beautiful, oh, wait a minute, I'm reading that wrong. Warrior Girl is saying to Starfish, is it like a beautiful royal purple? Because that's what you see. Cool. Linda, lately you've been slogging through the muck with the moon stuff, eclipses and shadow. Yeah, a lot of people have. Just know that even if these shifts are happening, as we're being told they are, it doesn't have to drag you down. Just like that whole thing about Mercury retrograde. So many people believe that if it's Mercury retrograde, they're going to be slogging, life is going to be difficult, things are going to go wonky. That doesn't have to be true. If you set your intention that it will help you in some way, that you'll work and flow with it rather than resisting it, your experience will be different. That's a really important lesson for us to learn. If we believe it's going to be hard, it will be hard. We're creating our own reality. So think about what reality you want to create. These planetary shifts, these eclipses, they could be opportunities that are shifting the energy, moving obstacles so that you can connect with those things that you've been seeking to connect with. So chew on that for a bit. See if you can make that your reality, because it will really change things for you. I was once doing an interview with the editor of my first book, and all of a sudden the signal was getting messed up in the Zoom call. We were getting some weirdness happening, and she made the offhand comment to me that it must be my energy is affecting the signal. And I thought about that for a minute, and it just hit me wrong. And the answer I got immediately was, no, that's not true. I don't choose for my energy to do that. So there may have been some kind of interference, but it wasn't coming from me. And that was such a gift in the moment, because I might have taken that, believed it, acted upon it, and then I would have had more trouble with electronics. I don't have trouble with electronics because my energy isn't doing that. It's not my intention. So as much as possible, be aware of those things. You can shift them. That's the marvelous thing about creating your reality. So use that, make it work for you. Angelita wants to know about the 21-day meditation. So Angelita, let's see, I'll give you a link to the book where you can read more about it. It's a book that it was channeled from Metatron last year. It's called The Path to Hearing Angels and Guides, 21 Days of Meditation. And it was given to us by Metatron to help us, as the title says, connect with our angels and guides, to actually hear them, because so many people have been unable to hear them and they want to. So through this 21-day process, you are able to move into slowly opening up your channel so that you can hear them, because we can all channel. We were all born with the ability to channel. Creator gave that to us. It's just for many people, they haven't opened up to it. They don't understand it. There's a block. So this 21 days will help you get through the block. So if you get the book and you want to join us in the private Facebook group where we go through the experience together, we share what's going on, that link is in the book, so you can do that. And I highly recommend it because it's a brilliant process designed by Metatron to take you by the hand and lead you into that deeper connection faster, because we need that right now. That's why it came in this time. Here we are in this ascension process. Things are accelerating on Earth. So we need all that we can get, all the tools to help us up-level our abilities so that we can connect sooner and faster. And it's really a phenomenal process. I learned and grew myself as I channeled it. And then when we all did it together the very first time as a group, the expansion that happened was just remarkable. So I wish for everybody they could have that experience. It's just profound and sacred. So thanks for asking. Warrior Girl says, Linda, that's okay. It's part of the process. You're on the right path. Yeah, absolutely. No judgments. Just take the information, keep moving forward. Absolutely. Elizabeth says, I'm so loving your sharing today. Thank you. Oh, you're so welcome. Your question is that your light turns on its own multiple times during the night. What's the best way to learn what you need to know? Well, that's kind of freaky. So a light flashing multiple times during the night. What can you tell us about that? What would be the purpose? Is that something metaphysical? Is it something physical? Yeah, I'm getting that's not a metaphysical thing, Elizabeth. It's like, I don't know, a short somewhere or power surges maybe. Because the thing about that is the light flashing on is disrupting your sleep. And they don't need to disrupt your sleep. They can talk to you during the daytime, right? So let me ask one more time though. Are you telling me 100% true that that is not metaphysical? Oh, now they're hedging. No, it might be. Yeah, okay. Sometimes they like to get a little cutesy. So it might be. So is there a message that's trying to be delivered to Elizabeth? Is that what it's about? Yeah, what I'm hearing is it's about paying attention. It's trying to get you to tune in, to pay more attention to those little things that are happening. If you were here earlier when we talked about being very present, being mindful, noticing things like the repeating numbers or other things that show up multiple times, noticing that feeling you get in your solar plexus when that intuition pops in. Be present, be mindful to those things, and then the flashing light wouldn't be a necessary thing because you can get it when you're awake. You know, I've heard a lot of people talk about how they get woken up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to channel a message. And I'm kind of a pragmatic person. So I look at that and I say, do you like getting woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning? Because I would not like that myself. I would be really upset. And it's like, well, no, not really. So, okay, here's a thought. Why don't you ask them to come at a more opportune time? And you'll meet them. You'll be welcome to hear the message. So we can all do that. If it's showing up like that and waking you up, you can say, hey, got it. You want to talk to me? Can we make an appointment and do this in the morning when I'm awake, or, whenever it's convenient for you? And they will do that. Just like when I'm channeling, sometimes the messages will come so fast that it gets ahead of me and I have to say, pause, please. And they do, they stop. I get caught up and then I say, okay, go. And the message picks right back up again. So we have far more power than we realize. We are sovereign souls. So when things like that are happening and they're not comfortable, you'd like it to be different, you can ask for that. They won't be offended. They want to work with you in the most effective way that they can. So for everybody, that's true. When those things happen, question it. Does it have to be this way? Can I change it? Doesn't hurt to ask, right? So that might be a little more comfortable for you if you can do that. Linda says that confirms what you thought. You heard other explanations. You want a clarification. Awesome. So glad. KT says, Linda, I understand it's like an invisible force that drags you down. And for you with the new moon, you tend to feel the urge to do shadow work. Negative feelings tend to surface so they can be healed. Oh, that is so powerful. Beautiful, KT. That's where you make it into an opportunity, right? That's because you see it that way. So it's just a tiny little shift. But if we can stop in the moment and do that with something that kind of pulls us backwards or feels down, if we can examine it for just a moment and ask ourselves, how can I shift this into an opportunity? Make that your way of being, and you'll have far less of those things happening. Then when it's an opportunity, it's exciting because what's going to come from this? Where will it lead you next? What doors will it open? So yeah, that's fabulous. Thanks for sharing that. So cool. Linda says, thanks to Warrior Girl. It's extremely difficult, but you will get through it. Yeah. And in that moment when it's feeling extremely difficult, Linda, do a meditation, call in your angels, do all of those things, whatever it takes to feel better. But really focus on you. If you can hone in on just one little spark of something that feels good, focus on that. Be in a state of gratitude for that. Even if it's just that you can breathe or the sun is shining. I mean, really get down to basics. Find something to be grateful about and then expand. Let it keep expanding, and pretty quickly you'll feel better. That's what I do anytime, it grabs me and knocks me off my feet. It's like, what can I be thankful for? And in the time of COVID, breathing is something to really be thankful for. So that comes up a lot, as well as, just the beautiful nature that we have all around us, the sun that shines, the green grass, the water, all those amazing things that we take for granted, but they're really quite precious and they are gifts. So try doing that, just tiny little things that you can shift. It will make a difference over time. But remember, be kind to yourself, no judgment. Just take baby steps and keep ever moving further towards your goal until the day will come that those things won't knock you down. They won't make you feel bad. You'll know immediately what to do about it. You'll take that action and bam, it'll be gone. You'll get really proficient at flipping those things around. So let me know how that works out for you. Errol wants to know, what does Archangel Uriel look like? I don't see their faces clear. They come more as like energy beings. Sometimes I'll get like a little flash, but it's not enough to really describe to you. And I think that's deliberate because that gives us all the ability to see them the way that it feels comfortable for us to see them. It would be tantamount to somebody being colorblind and you trying to help them understand what the colors look like. So if I try to tell you what the angel looked like, for instance, then I'm planting that idea in your head rather than letting you have the experience of meeting them and seeing what they look like. Like Metatron, I don't see a face. In the beginning, the first time he showed up, he came dressed in that Transformer outfit, like, really imposing. And it was kind of funny because when you think of the name Metatron, to me, that evokes the idea of a transformer. So that's how he showed up. But that changes over time. They don't always show up the same way. They may show up as an animal sometimes, or, something entirely different. And they could even be a rock if they wanted to be. They'll show up in whatever visage is the most purposeful to help you get the message. So don't let yourself get caught up in that, because what will happen, this will block you. There you are meditating. You know it's Uriel and you're just focused on, I want to see that face. I want to bring it into focus. When you do that, you get off track and you lose the message that was trying to come through. So don't try to force those kinds of things. Been there, done that. So, I'm sharing my experience with you, but just allow it to show up in whatever way it shows up for you. And that will be perfect. I hope that helps. Linda says, Mercury retrograde is usually about communication and you're trying to release resistance so you can flow through it with ease. Yeah. So just flow with it. Whatever that communication is, Linda, they are not going to stop until they get it through to you. They will bring it to you from multiple sources in multiple formats. So just relax and allow, and it will come through faster. If you have that idea in your head that retrograde is going to be sluggish, then that's what it will be. So instead, you could see yourself just floating through it, like levitating through it if you wanted to, because maybe it has enough density that you can levitate right through it. You could, do the crawl through the air in the retrograde and see where it takes you. Just have fun with it if you can. Make up games, whatever feels good to you. But as much as possible, avoid going into that resistance energy. Oh my, here comes retrograde again. Because then you just set yourself up for the resistance and for the blocks. So, and again, no judgment about that. We've all done it. It's just a learning process. You're just going to keep getting better and better at it. So yeah, and you're here asking questions, trying to figure it out. So that's beautiful. Just keep going. You'll get it. Warrior Girl says that to you, I think it was Raphael, shows up as light ultraviolet. Okay, cool. Callista says Mercury in retrograde is there to show you why we need understanding and to force you to work on communication as a counterbalance. Also to make you laugh at the absurdity of the world. Yeah, all of that stuff. We know it's purposeful. You know, there's something going on with the planets that causes them to do those cycles. That's part of their journey, right? Because their consciousness, but it needn't have a negative impact on us. I think it's just we're opening up, we're waking up more, and it's about connecting, figuring out what it does mean for you. But as much as possible, make it mean something positive that is about your growth, about furthering your ascension journey. Thank you. Angelita sending hugs to Linda. That's so sweet. Thank you. And Warrior Girl says to Callista, that's well said. It covers all of the re's, redo, reflect, renew. Yeah. Beautiful. Jennifer, you're laughing because you get woken up at 3 a.m. all the time, but you always get good messages. Cool. As long as you're happy with it, yeah, go for it. Like I said, I would not like that. I need my sleep. And if I get woken up at 3 o'clock, I'm going to be a grump. So they can talk to me in daylight hours when I'm more alert and can get the message. But yeah, it's just do what's always best for you. Callista says, yeah, check your electrical just to be sure. Absolutely. You know, we might believe it's a third or, you know, a fifth dimensional issue. It's metaphysical. But like with health problems, it's always good to rule out that it's, you know, not a physical issue before you go off on what can I get from my records to solve this problem? Because I get people doing that a lot. It's, you know, something's going on in their life and they want to know how to fix it in the records. And, you know, it's not like that. It's not like a magical potion where we're just going to make all the stuff go away that's bothering you, because it's a journey you're learning. You can't just go poof and make the troubles go away, but you can work through it using your records as a tool. So for all of us, that's part of the journey. You know, if we did it like just poof and make all the stuff go away, we wouldn't learn very much, would we? And that's why we're here. Always it's about the journey. KT says your best messages come in the shower. Yeah, that's very common because that's when you're in that state of relaxation. You just kind of on autopilot. So that's when they could get through to you. So knowing that, how can you recreate that at other times when you want to connect? That's what you're looking for when you do your meditation, as much as possible, that energy. And if you have to do your meditation in the shower, hey, do it in the shower. Just set up a recording so that you can speak and record what you get. Otherwise, you're going to have a challenge remembering all the stuff that you got when you get done with your shower and sit down to write, because there's always details you'll miss. And I find, at least this is my truth, that there's a lot of teeny tiny little details I would miss if I wasn't writing it down in the moment. And sometimes those tiny little details are important. So that's why we want to get as much of it as we can in the moment. Warrior Girl says that water's a conduit. Yeah. Glacia says, could Metatron say something about the Aquarius age? I'll ask. Metatron, is there anything you want to share with us about the age of Aquarius? It's new beginnings. It's excitement. It's revving up the energy and the excitement to get everybody more focused. Because, you know, when something is new, it's like you can't stop looking at it and playing with it, experimenting with it. It's when it's old hat and kind of boring, you let it go and you don't spend much time. So it's to capture that fascination, that magic of the newness, to bring people in. So it's like putting a spark back into the energy, bringing more people into focus with what's going on, helping to awaken them if they haven't already started. You know, it's like putting that jolt of energy in. It's like, wake up, and getting that attention, because there are a lot of people who haven't yet started their awakening journey. Hard as that is to believe, because we're all hanging out with all these metaphysical people, but there still are a lot of people who haven't gone through that awakening yet. And this is another opportunity to put that energy out there to get their attention, to really charge things up. So it's charging up that energy boost. That's really what I'm getting from it. And of course, the new beginnings. It's a new layer. You know, we talked about time being layered. So it's a whole new layer. Or like a layer cake, we're putting on the top layer now and seeing what excitement, what juicy deliciousness comes from that experience. But it's lighting us all up, getting us all excited, recharging us, because we are on this really steep upward trajectory right now. And if we can get everybody lit up, excited, it'll make it a lot easier. So that's a lot of babble. I hope that helps. Let me know. All right, you guys, I'm at the end of the questions. What else you got for me? We still have a half an hour to go if you want to hang out, or we can call it quits if you're done. It's totally up to you. Let's see. It says we have 16 people on now. Awesome. Did everybody do a thumbs up? That would be really helpful if you did that to let more people see the video. Let's see, is there anything else? Oh, if you didn't yet see the May forecast from Metatron, let me give you the link to that while we're waiting. So that's a must see, you guys, because it's so chock full of really wonderful information. And the stuff about the fourth dimension, wow, that was just kind of mind blowing. So I hope you'll listen to that and enjoy it. And if you're new, or if you haven't yet signed up to my VIP list, I invite you to do that. I'll give you the link for that too. That is for the third Saturday of the month. We get together on Zoom so I can see you. You can ask me questions. And on that Zoom call, we do personal questions because I can see you. I get a better connection with you that way. And we go for about 90 minutes. You ask your personal questions. We record it. Then I upload the video to YouTube, but your faces are not shown for your privacy. Just my face is shown. But the answers that come are so phenomenal, and they apply to a lot of people. So when you come and you ask a question, the answer that comes for you will be for you, of course, but it will also be for other people. So you're contributing that to the collective consciousness when it gets uploaded. Other people will hear that answer. They'll be moved by it. It will help them in amazing ways. And all you have to do is show up and ask a question. So yeah, please do that. Here's the link for it if you're not already on my VIP list. So third Saturday of the month, 11 a.m. Eastern time is when we do that. Okay, KT said, any more that Metatron can share about battling the darkness? Okay, so Metatron, anything additional you want to add about battling the darkness? Oh, this is interesting. He says the darkness is an illusion. Don't focus on it because it expands. Focus on your light. Let your light expand. You can light up the world with your beautiful love light, because that's who you are, magnificent soul. That's what you bring to the table. Never underestimate the power that your love brings. You are important. You are a cog in this grand tapestry, and you are so needed. The wheels of the universe that are turning, you are an important cog in that wheel. And yes, you're one of many, but each one is important. They all couldn't function without the others, at least not optimally. So when you feel the darkness encroaching, presuming it's not nighttime, you're trying to go to sleep, when you feel that darkness, that oppressiveness, switch on your spiritual light, connect with your angels and guides. Don't stay there. As soon as you notice it, take positive action to shift out of it. Meditate, call on your angels, get up and take a walk, whatever it requires for you. This is your responsibility, sovereign soul, to not stay there. You've got the tools. We've given them to you. We will give you more. Just ask, but don't stay there. That's the most important thing. And yeah, sometimes that darkness will sneak up and jump over your shoulder, and before you know it, it's knocked you off your feet. But the thing is, as soon as you notice, take that positive action. Do something about it. Don't stay there. That's your responsibility. And the more you do this, the faster and easier it will get to jump right back out of the darkness into the light. Thank you, Metatron. That was really nice. Does that help? Let me know. Callista, any tips for staying connected to divine all the time? Is there a different opening compared to the Akashic records? The way I do it, Callista, is, I did my opening prayer for the records. I never did a closing prayer. I just stay connected. It's my intention. This stuff is all about energy and intention. If it's your intention to always have that connection, the door open to your records, then it will be. And when you're connected to the records, that's all love, truth, and light. You don't have to worry about entities and all those other things. You are connected, you are protected. For me, I visualize it as Metatron's right here at my side. We're holding hands, walking through life. It doesn't get any better than that. So I feel protected. All I have to do is turn my head and have a conversation. It's always right there and available. And that's there for all of you. However you see it, you'll probably see it differently than I do. And that's perfect, because you'll see it from your perspective. And if you haven't heard me talk about our soul matrix and how we're all wired differently, it's because of that. You probably have a different gift and a different soul specialty, different soul tribe than I have. And the components of each of those are different than mine. So you will see it in accordance with the way your soul is wired. And that's perfect. Allow that to be. Just accept it, revel in it, and use it in the most empowered way that you can. Let them lift you up whenever you feel heavy laden. Let them levitate you. They will. The angels will come and they'll do that. That game that you used to play as a kid, light as a feather, where you pick somebody up with your fingertip? Your angels will come and they'll put the fingertips on you and they will lift you up so that you're light as a feather. You are floating on the angelic love. It's so beautiful. All of that is there for you and more. Mark, when you sense darkness, you project love and compassion towards it and it instantly recedes. Yeah, that's beautiful. Because love is more powerful than darkness, right? It's when you don't notice it or you ignore it that it creeps in and gets closer and closer and starts negatively impacting you. But as soon as you recognize it, you just turn on that love light like a big old lighthouse and beam at it. It has to go. It's too uncomfortable in that light. It's got to leave. So you have so much power, much more than you know you have. Thank you for sharing that, Mark. KT, that helps tremendously. I'm so glad. You're welcome. Freedom for awe. Metatron, that was good for you too. Awesome. Wonderful to hear that. Hey, Barb, thanks for joining us. So glad you could be here. We're doing metaphysical questions. So we're going to be here until the top of the hour. If you've got questions, pop them in the chat. I'm at the end right now, so ready for more. Janny, you're curious about the soul contracts. Where did this idea originate? I don't know where it originated. Let's see. So what can you tell us about soul contracts? How did that whole thing get started? Oh, okay. So once upon a time, when we were more primitive, we needed things like soul contracts to knit the pieces together to help us in the successive lifetimes to accomplish the things that we chose to accomplish. Because remember, before we jump into the body, we do all this pre-birth planning. These are the things we want to accomplish in this lifetime. These are the people we want to connect with. This is what we want to do. We want to focus on, whatever it is that we're focused on. And these are the karmic things we want to clear up. So those are kind of the list of things we go through. So back in that lower vibrational frequency, the contracts helped us to do that. And it wasn't only soul contracts. We could have vows to God that we made that are contracts. We could have bindings. We could have spells and curses put on us that stayed there energetically until they were cleared. But now in this more enlightened time, we don't need any of that stuff. It's not useful. All it does is it traps our energy, keeps us connected in most cases to another being, and it's a negative energy drain. So we don't need them. So soul contracts very often are about connecting to another person or persons. We don't need the contract to do that anymore. So we can release all of them and any negative karma that's attached to them. If we are planning to connect with that person, then our angels, our teams will help us to do that. They will, both sides we'll be working for synchronicities to allow our paths to cross so that we can connect with that person. We don't need a contract for that anymore. So that's where things are changing. Let me know if that makes sense. Dawn says, thank you for sharing your energy, time, talents, and compassion. You appreciate it and have to sign off. Hope to catch you again soon. Yeah, I'll be here, Dawn. So come back. Love to have you again. Thank you for being here and sharing your energy and your questions with the group, because it will help other people. It's so important. So never think, you guys, that your question doesn't matter, because it does. Just as when we do the third Saturday Zooms and we ask personal questions that help other people. When you ask these metaphysical questions, helps other people, because there are those who are wondering about the very same thing that you are, and others. So when you come and you complete this circle with your energy, so that we can bring these answers in and then allow them to rise up into the world, the energy for others to get. It's a beautiful collective of souls and energy. Bringing this love energy together is just so much a blessing. And I appreciate all of you being here, because I feel your energy. Together, we are all more powerful as we lift that energy up and uplift others. And we need that right now so much. Janny, so there are no references to soul contracts in something you can study? Not that I'm aware of, Janny. The materials that I studied in order to do the soul introduction readings that I do, because that's a very specific modality, we were just taught that soul contracts are no longer necessary. There was nothing in there that explained about them. So what I just shared with you, I just channeled. I didn't know that before. And if there's something out there, I'm not aware of it. I'm sure there is. You could probably Google it and find stuff. Just when you do that, do it with a sense of skepticism, because there's a lot of stuff out there that's opinion rather than, coming from a divine source. So it's up to you as a sovereign soul to sort that out, to find out what's the truth and what resonates with you. So just know you'll have to pick through some of the stuff to get to the really good stuff. But I'll bet you could find material out there that talked about soul contracts if you want to study it. Although I don't know if you really need to, since it's, it's an outdated modality that we don't use anymore. Mark says, your granddaughter is magic for you. She's about 8 months old, changes every day, and has bright, curious, determined mind. Oh, yeah. Aren't they glorious blessings? They just change your life in such wonderful ways. And to see the world through their eyes, to get those new perceptions. Plus, the fact that you guys are so spiritually tuned in, you're going to bring that sensibility to her, exposing her to those ideas. And of course, she's bringing her more awakened state that she came with. Because, the kids coming in now, they're more awakened than anything we ever did. So they'll be teaching us as well. My granddaughter's 11, and I'm just astounded by the things that come from her. She is connected. She gets these amazing insights. Oh, the things that she sees and expresses, it's just phenomenal. So you'll be getting that and more, once she starts talking and can share those things with you. And the really cool thing, I think, for us, when we came in as kids, the things that we might have remembered from being souls out of the body got suppressed, and we were told we were, making believe, or it wasn't real and all that stuff. So we forgot about it. And then we spent decades trying to reconnect with it. So for these little ones, we can nurture that. We can help them to hold on to those memories, those understandings as they grow and mature. And they'll be so much further ahead than we ever were. And that's really wonderful, because then they'll be the ones in charge at some point, really making a massive difference in this world. It's very exciting what's coming our way. Let me take a sip. I'm getting a little dry here. Warrior girl, the feeling is mutual. It's always a pleasure to have you. You are so welcome. Callista, you love the energy. It always lifts you up. Yeah. Me too. And that's another reason to do this, having regular gatherings, allowing that energy to coalesce because we're stronger together. That's why Metatron keeps calling on the light workers. More, 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 more. Get them in here. Get them connected. Let's plug them in so that we can up this energy and change the world faster. Jana, you don't know why it has you so curious. You've Googled and there's nothing. Interesting. I will keep an eye out, Jenny. If I can find more, I'll let you know. KT, it's always a relief knowing that you're not alone and we have this family to lean into. And thank you for bringing us together. You're so welcome. Yeah. I feel this responsibility, you guys, to keep sharing this stuff. It's like, because my soul specialization is an elder council member. So that is a responsibility that's over and above the average soul purpose and destiny. It's something I agreed to apparently way back when, but I feel like sometimes there's a hand pushing me forward more, faster, faster, faster. It's a lot of pressure sometimes, but then Metatron reminded me when I was feeling that pressure and a little down because I'm not getting more people faster. And I feel like I'm letting Metatron down, right? If I don't get it out there faster to more people. And he said to me, because he's so kind and so loving, he said, would it help if you knew there were others doing it too? You're not the only one. It's like, oh, thank you. So if I'm not doing it good enough, fast enough, far enough, then there are others who are picking up the slack and we're all doing it together. So I think for all of us, we do feel some of that responsibility if we're on this journey. So just know you're not the only one. We're all doing it together. We're all bringing our own unique perspective, bringing our gifts and what we have to the table, because we all fit together like this big puzzle, right? It's not just one gift. It's 8 different gifts that we're all bringing, and they each fit in different spaces together, making the whole. It's a lot of different specialties. It's 22 soul tribes. I've never counted the specialties, so I don't know how many of those there are off the top of my head, but there's quite a few. So yeah, we're all bringing those individual aspects to the table. So it's just a matter of coming forward, doing what you feel led to do in the very best way that you can. And that's enough. That's all that's asked of you. So we put the pressure on ourselves. It's not coming from divine. And I have to remind myself of that frequently. So if you felt that way, just know you're not alone. And yeah, lighten up a little bit on yourself and more joy, more flow, and it will be okay. We will all get there. Lots of lovely comments here, back and forth to each other. And Freedom for Us said, "You feel such joy being here." Yeah. Thank you. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you could be here. Mark, it's interesting that from a historical perspective, we've not been able to find who originally wrote about the concept. Not Alan Watts, not Aleister Crowley, not Dolores Cannon, etc. Yeah. I feel that way, Mark, about the soul tribes, which is, the planet of origination. I don't know where that information came from. It's been passed down through several different modalities. I think if you went to like the Edgar Cayce Society, maybe they've got information on that. They have this story about this guy named Johnny who was out in the desert and he got this big download. So I know some of the information came from that source. And then it's been modified. I'm modifying it myself because when I do readings, I've got, the canned information I was given. But when I do a reading, I'm getting all of the aspects coming at once. And then those all combine to bring new information forward. And so not infrequently while I'm sharing with somebody about the aspects of their soul, something new will come through and I'll have to write that down, preserve it. And I know other readers are doing the same thing. So there's a lot of information out there that's becoming a little splintered now because I'm not sharing my stuff with anybody. It's not like there's a group where we do that. I'm just bringing forward what I get. So those who are led to come and do readings with me are getting that. If they're led to get a reading with somebody else, they'll get what that person had. And I know people I read for very early on in my work got a smidgen of what I'm sharing now because I just didn't have all that knowledge. It took time and practice to develop it. So, that just has to be good enough. What we're doing, though, is we are planting the seeds. We're getting the beginnings of the information. And then as sovereign souls, we're moving forward. We're exploring like you guys are, learning more and expanding. And then sharing in places like this is also helpful. So we just need to keep doing that. It'll be okay. And maybe one day we will get an answer. It could be it was from this Johnny guy. I don't know. But I mentioned earlier, I think before you were here, Mark, there are 22 soul tribes. And those are, roughly known as planets that are identified in this work I do. I believe deep in my soul that there are more than that just have not been discovered yet. But I haven't gotten any downloads about that. So until I do, I can't really say for sure. Just a feeling I have. But it's the feeling I get with a lot of other stuff that turns out to be true. So one day we'll get more information, but I think we're just not ready for it yet. And that's why it's not come through. We've already got a vast body of knowledge that we're still disseminating and understanding. So it will expand in the right time when we're ready for it. Maybe that won't be until we hit fourth dimension. I don't know. We'll find out soon enough, though. Linda, are higher vibrating beings' energies offended if we don't allow them to be near us, if we can't discern immediately that they're good? No, they wouldn't be offended because they're higher vibrating beings. They understand. It's all about love, light, and intention. There's no judgment. They are out there just like we are, planting seeds of love and intention. They either sprout or they don't, or maybe they sprout later, and that's enough. See, a big part of this, Linda, is having the understanding that you are planting that seed, but it's none of your business what the recipient does with it. They might not be ready. They might not ever be ready. Who knows? But you planted the seeds. You did your part. The rest is up to them. So it's a matter of just disconnecting from results, doing what you feel led to do. I hope that makes sense. But take the pressure off yourself. You did your part. It's up to them to do the next, because they're also a sovereign soul. Warrior Girl, you read a book in 2006 called The Acorn Theory that puts a lot into perspective, but you don't remember the author. Cool. Well, you could probably find it on Amazon or somewhere. Janny, you came on sort of all wound up because your dog got out, and Mark's invocation to Archangel Gabriel brought him home via a neighbor. The collective energy has helped to calm your heart. Oh, that's so beautiful. So glad your puppy came home. That's very distressing. Sometimes they just need to go for a run, get something out of their system too. But he's home safe and sound, and that's what is important. And I'm so glad that we were here to support you in that, Janny. Thanks for sharing your story. Linda, there's a book called Soul Contracts that some readers use who are teaching classes about understanding them. Awesome. Maybe that will help, Janny. Mark says, think of it as analogous to factorial. Calm, loving energy touches even just 20 people, and the same for them. Soon a wave of love and energy has touched the planet. Yeah. It's geometric progression. Metatron has talked about this a number of times. He calls it spreading a positive infection. And when he said that to me, I'm like, really? You're kidding me? You want to spread infection? And he's like, an infection of love, expansion, uplifting. That's the infection. And he specifically called it infection because that spreads from one person to another so that it can spread faster. And that one took me a while to really wrap my head around and to accept that, yeah, that makes sense. And while it might seem like a weird way of describing it, it is true. And we can understand it enough to put it into use. So if we all are just out there sharing whatever we feel led to share, we're infecting the next person. And again, they get to decide what they do about it, but hopefully some of them will take on the infection and they will spread it to others. And that's how we're going to get it across the whole planet faster. And I think he also used it in a very conscious way because we were dealing with the infection, the pandemic at the time. So it was something we could really relate to. Look at how that pandemic spread across the globe. We can use that same principle to spread the awakening, the love, and the light across the planet. So it's a good metaphor. Callista, wouldn't there need to be more than 22, as the blueprinters are from multiple planets? Oh, I'm not sure if they're from multiple planets themselves. They had to have an origination point, Callista. They've gone to multiple planets and they are involved with the evolution of Earth. But from what I understand, they do have one place they came from originally. And then they've just had their fingers in a lot of pies since then. So there's a lot yet to learn about the blueprinters. And because there are, 4 subcategories of blueprinters, there's even more to learn. That's why this particular tribe is really fascinating, because there's so many dimensions to them. And yeah, it's just a fun thing to learn about and expand on. So as we get more information, we'll be sharing that, because it keeps coming up. Somebody usually asks about blueprinters at these gatherings. So as they do that, more information will come forth and you'll be hearing about it. And if you please come and share it. That would be awesome. Warrior Girl, you'd like to know if Metatron would explain the difference between cherubim and seraphim. Okay, I don't know. So Metatron, what can you tell us about the difference between cherubim and seraphim? You show me a picture of the cherubim as the cherub babies with their fingers in pies, because we were just talking about fingers and pies. So it's a more innocent, lighter energy than the seraphim. They're involved in more of the joy and the play. They're delighting people. They're bringing that light, childlike energy. Whereas the seraphim come across as more, not stern, but I can't think of the word, more solemn. They're more solemn. They're more serious. They're out there working. They're like the worker bees. Okay. Oh, this is cool. So the cherubim are like butterflies and the seraphim are like worker bees. Does that make sense? Let me know if that helps. Interesting way of describing them. Warrior Girl, you planned on asking when you get the notification that I was going live and then you forgot. Well, you got here and that's the important thing. Jennifer wants to know what my soul tribe is if I feel like sharing. Sure, mine is called Alpha Centauri, and that is a planet that's identified. The interesting thing about Alpha Centauri, I've only met, I think, 2 others in all the time I've been doing this work. They don't show up very often. And there was very little information about that particular tribe. So a couple of times in meditation, I asked to be shown what my planet looked like and what the people looked like. What was the deal with them? Because one of the hallmarks of Alpha Centauri is that they're not real emotional people. They're a little bit disconnected from the emotional. They're more in their heads, which, yeah, I always felt that. And I always thought there was something wrong with me, because it's like, how can I be so disconnected when all these people are so emotional? It's like, is there something defective? And, that happens a lot with the aspects of our soul, because it's different. We might perceive it as something wrong rather than, part of the beautiful gift we were given and, this amazing creature that we are. So when I saw the planet, the people were all dressed the same. It was a very dystopian feel to it, very industrial. It's like there was all these factories and these people were dressed like mail carriers in light blue suits with the blue mail carrier type cap. They went and they did their jobs. There wasn't a whole lot of like social interaction, and there wasn't emotion evident. It was almost a mechanical kind of thing. They go, they do their job, they come home, they sit down, they watch TV, they read the paper. Weird, right? But there wasn't a whole lot else that they showed me. There wasn't, the kids running around on the playground and that kind of thing. So it was a very different kind of society. I'm eventually going to get more information, but that was what they gave me. And it really helped me to understand why I would have left that planet, because you want more, you want expansion. So through the successive lifetimes being on other planets and then specifically in this lifetime, working through that emotional disconnection, understanding what it's about, and now opening up, because my heart chakra has been amazingly expanded through doing this work. And even in the last couple of years, huge expansion in the heart chakra. So it's like the more I lean into the love of my team and Metatron, the more that love flows from me. And now it's like I'm walking around beaming love to people. I never did that before. That was just so foreign to me. So it's changed me in these amazing ways. Feels wonderful, of course, but the contrast was really vast. So that might be more than you wanted to know about Alpha Centauri, but that's the bit that I have right now, and expecting to get more. Mark says he totally share the idea of love as an infection. Yeah. Well, Metatron is never wrong. So eventually I had to get around to understanding what it was about. Ariel says, aren't the seraphim reptilian? I don't know. Let's ask that question. Are the seraphim reptilian? Well, I get a big no on that. No. No, they're like worker bees. But I don't see them as reptilian at all. They're just very solemn. That's the thing about them. That's the overriding energy that I get from them, that solemnity that they carry, because they have a heavy responsibility and they're out there doing it. They're working very diligently, helping us. Stephanie wants to know, how do I find my tribe? That's something I do in a soul introduction reading, Stephanie. It requires going into the Akashic record and doing research to get all that information. So it's not something I would do on a gathering like this, because I need the time to focus and do the research. But yeah, it's totally available through a soul introduction reading. You might discover it on your own if you learn how to read the Akashic records, which takes a while. So if you're in a hurry, then getting a reading is the fast way to get it. Warrior girl, not reptilian, larger than archangels, lots of wings, not just two, and they're gold red like fire. Interesting. I was seeing them in black and white, and just that they almost look like a sarcophagus, if that makes sense, but the wings were probably hidden behind the shoulder. It was like a sarcophagus, but it was alive, if that makes any sense at all. And it had this predominant black and white, but I think that was to convey the energy of the solemnity that I was feeling from them. And remember I said earlier, you're going to see them differently than somebody else does. So, for who was it that asked the question? Errol, I think it was, that asked about them being reptilian. Errol might see them as reptilian, because our perceptions are all different. We have those filters based upon who we are, what we've come through, and, where we are at the present time, what we believe. Warrior girl says, yeah, you got yours through an Akashic record consult. Okay. Freedom for awe, you thought that might be. Okay. Callista says it's inspiring. Thank you for sharing. You're so welcome. Glad to do that. Yeah, it's not a secret. Some people might feel like they want to keep it a secret, but I don't know. I just think that the more of this information we get out there, the better, because it helps everybody. And maybe somebody hearing this will say, oh, that sounds like me. I must be from Alpha Centauri. And then that might get them curious so that they'll learn more. Because you guys, the most important part about our journey is delving in and learning about our soul. Our journey is all about learning more and more, going deeper and deeper into ourselves, because the more we understand about ourselves, the more we're able to help the world. So it's always taking that deep dive into learning more about you. Ultimately, that's what we're all doing. Jennifer, thank you. Love hearing about other planets. You're so welcome. Yeah, it's fun to share. Stephanie, you'll schedule. Awesome. Janny, there's a beautiful description of Seraphim in one of the Wrinkle in Time trilogies. Interesting. KT, you've seen a vision of Seraphim and Archangel at long tables discussing world events. Yeah, You might have heard, like in some of the science fiction movies or maybe other places, about like the Galactic Council and the Federation, and those things are real. They do exist. There are people who are here on assignment from the Galactic Council. So it's out there. There are structures, hierarchies that are put in place because, all of creation, all the multiverse, that's a lot to keep everything going, working together in harmony. So there are those, each planet I think has its own, plus, over all of that. I don't know any details about that yet because, it's not important for me to know right now. Might be later, but those things exist. There's so much yet for us to learn. So you see what I said, it's going to take us lifetimes to learn all this stuff, and like how many dimensions and how far are we going to go. So we've got time. We've got eternity to learn all these things. Warrior Girl, you second that. Wicked, cool, and informative. Awesome. Mark, whenever you've tried to connect with the seraphim, their energy feels like a combination of muscle and lightning, like the power of creator. Oh, wow. That's cool. And maybe you don't need to connect with them because you've got the archangels, you've got your own Akashic team. So what I feel about the seraphim is they've got this higher purpose that they're accomplishing, and probably less direct working with us. That might be why you're feeling that. But the archangels are very willing to come work with us. Plus, of course, you've got your own personal team. And you guys, if you haven't heard me say this before and you don't know this, you can call in a special assignment team anytime you need to. If you're working through something particularly difficult, ask, please send me a special assignment team for, whatever it is you want. They will come and they will work with you temporarily until you've achieved that goal. And then they'll move on and help somebody else. And there's an unlimited supply of them. So feel free to ask if you need special assignment angels. Linda, you just described how I see myself. I've worked in a factory most of my life, not engaged with others. Interesting. Yeah. Do you feel that emotional disconnection? Like you're going through the motions, you're there, but when other people get all destroyed about things, doesn't really affect you all that much. And this is weird. This is a contrast. I have empathic abilities, but I never felt like an empath because I could watch things and people and be disconnected. I could stay calm while they were dealing with crisis. Like there was a time in my 20s when my brother got into a really bad accident. One person was killed. He ended up in the emergency room. I'm the one who took the call. I just happened to be at my parents' when the call came in. And I shocked the heck out of myself. I took the call. I listened to them. I didn't let the people in the room hear what was going on while they told me that this person was dead and my brother was not expected to survive. I got all the family in the car. I just told them there was an accident. We needed to go to the hospital. Didn't give them any details. It was over an hour's drive to this hospital. I drove, and I'm keeping it together this whole time. I don't know how. We get there, they're falling apart seeing him because he looked pretty bad. And it was like 2 days I held it all together and was the support for the whole family. And then on the third day, I'm standing there looking at him in his bed, and then I fell apart. But it's like, I don't know where that came from, but I think it's part of being that Alpha Centauri, having that ability to disconnect, to look at something dispassionately, not be affected by it. And in hindsight, looking at how it's affected me and I've experienced it throughout my life, actually, it's kind of been a good thing because you see people who are empathic who are almost victimized by their gift. They get knocked off their feet. They have to, some of them hide from the world because it's just too painful. So I have that energetic sensitivity, but it doesn't affect me that way because I have the Alpha Centauri mentality perspective. So it was a blessing now that I understand it. And that's why it's so cool to learn these things about your soul, because then it's like, okay, now I get this. So now how do I use it moving forward in a more empowered fashion? And it's always peel those layers and get deeper, get more powerful, because we need that right now. It's so important. Warrior Girl, you say the auras are completely different than ours. You mean the angels, the cherubim and seraphim. And Warrior Girl says that there's legions of angels and they love helping us. Yes, there are so many. Linda, feeling disconnected and not much emotionally. Yeah, so that might actually be a superpower for you. And you know, Linda, even if you're not an Alpha Centauri, it could still be a superpower, because think about it. You don't have to get devastated and fall apart when something very emotional happens. You can be the strong one that helps the others through it, because so many people are very sensitive and they fall apart. You know, that's why we have all these writings and videos and you name it about highly sensitive people. And, you know, I really enjoy doing readings with highly sensitive people because I get to show them they're not a victim. This is a gift. It's a superpower. And when you can understand that it's not a curse, you're not a victim, it's a fan-frickin' superpower, and then you start using it that way, oh, it changes your life and it changes the life of those people around you, because it was intended for you to use as a gift and as a superpower to help yourself and other people. So if you're not doing that, you're not fully living your soul purpose. You know, it's like putting a cover over a bird cage. It's muting you. And you don't want that, especially now. You want to take that off and be fully out there, glowing and sharing your love energy. Guys, I just noticed it's after 9, so we probably should wrap up. Let's see if there's any more questions. Linda, you don't panic in a crisis. Yeah. Yeah, it's like that. And that's a blessing, being able to do that and help people. It's a superpower. Okay, any last questions before we call it a night? Pop them in there quick if you got them. Or maybe you had enough and you're ready to go on about your evening. It looks like we have 18 people here. That's really cool. Thank you guys for hanging with me this whole time. I so appreciate it. And you. All right. I don't see any more questions popping up, so I think we'll call it a night. So let's just take a minute and thank our guides. Take a deep breath. Feel the love. Feel the love of this whole circle of people who are here tonight. We are small, but we are mighty. And that energy is coming to us. All of those angels are circling around us, backing us up. And we have a legion standing in a circle behind us, stretching out for miles. That's how loved, cared for, and supported we are. They're there for us every minute, every second, every breath. And they always will be. So reach out, lean on them when you need to, ask for help. Nothing is too small to ask for. We are so blessed. We've been given so very much. And now is our time to step up, be sovereign souls, step into that power and use it the way it was intended. There's so much joy, wonder, delight, and excitement in front of us every day. And it's only getting better. So thank you to all the angels, the guides, the archangels, the cherubim, the seraphim, and anybody else who was here helping us. We so appreciate you. Love you to the moon and back. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank all of you. Have a fabulous, fabulous evening. See you soon. And if you haven't signed up for my VIP list for the 3rd Saturday Zoom call, please do that. The link is in the chat. Love to have you join us.